welcome back to the channel. Last time we rode this little beauty, we had a bit of a problem. It kept blowing fuses, the ignition failed on me, and I had to push it 2.5 miles home. But we don't cry about that. Yeah, we do cry about that a little bit. So anyway, the plan is to figure out why we've got no power going to this bike at all anymore. And it's more than a flat battery, trust me. So let's get it stripped down. Let's take that tank off because that tank is a piece of jewellery, and we'll have a look for the source of this shorting problem. Right, problem is, as soon as I turn the ignition on, the main fuse blows. Not entirely sure what's causing that. We've had a few suggestions. Thanks for everybody who commented on the video when I broke down. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link that up here. Go and watch that one first before you watch this, because this one will make more sense. So Rich, before I took this bike, it broke down on him. He said while he was riding along, he seemed to turn the steering and it cut out on him. Pretty much what happened to me. I pulled up a set of traffic lights, it had blown the fuse, so I changed the fuse, it blew that fuse again. So that would suggest to me that there's some kind of a dead short on the ignition circuit, just tripping straight to ground. I got more fuses, it kept blowing the fuses, even the 20 amp one that I put in it. But the ignition did come back on for a short amount of time. It blew the fuse while the engine was running, which would lead me to believe that it was too high a charge coming from regulator. But then it blew the fuse again, just with the ignition on and no engine running. So that poo-poos that theory. So I got myself a pack of fuses, some glass fuses, and I'm gonna put one in, see if it gets the ignition back on, which I know it will, and then see if it blows the fuse before I turn the ignition on. I'm pretty sure that it did do that before. We didn't even get a chance to start it before that fuse blew. Alright, so this is the fuse we were lent. That was a 10 amp. Blasted back to pieces. Now, before anybody gets to start having a go at me, I'm certainly not an expert at wiring. I'm quite proficient at most things concerning motorbikes. I can rebuild engines, rebuild gearboxes, I can rebuild carbs, I can do pretty much everything, all jobs on motorbikes. But wiring it's my Achilles heel. So I am very much a novice at this kind of thing. That looks a little bit aftermarket. In fact, it looks a lot aftermarket, so I'm going to undo that and see what that is. It looks way too long. If anybody knows what that is all about, definitely leave me a comment. That seems to be leading down to the generator. So if we can get the engine running, we're going to test the actual output of the generator. So the slot to the far right is the main fuse. That's a 10 amp. Let's slot that one in. Ah. Ignition's still on. So while the ignition's still on, what I'm going to do is have a little fiddle around with a few wires, because obviously we've dislodged something. Someone did mention to me in comments that there is a grommet on the back of a headlight. Now it's clear to me that that grommet is present there. Right, this is all the stuff that I had hold of. None of that is loose, none of that is coming apart. It's the enemy of every mechanic, the intermittent fault. Right, I think it'd be a good idea now to put a bit of fuel in this, run it, and see if we can get it to blow that fuse. Let's see what the battery's charging at.
battery didn't seem to be charging. The voltage was just at 12 volts, which is not enough, but the engine was only idling very slow, so I raised the idle just to bring the voltage up. 13 volts, that'll do.
One thing I did notice is that when I stood the bike up, it blew the fuse. I wonder if the cabling for the kill switch runs through the centre of the bars. So let's turn the bars.
As hard as I tried, I just couldn't make it blow that fuse.
Play around with those wires and what can go into the bar. For anybody who works on bikes or cars or anything really, if you just know that if it's an intermittent fault, you're going to have a problem, because that's the problem with it. You can't, if it's intermittent, it fixes itself every now and then for that time there's no way you can diagnose it. I have to make it do the thing that we're complaining of, which is really difficult to do. I've been through the wiring, there's nothing that looks silly, so now I'm going to have to start literally taking parts off of it and searching every single part of the wiring. Brilliant.
We'll pack our bags, give it one more try, move back to where the skies are rich at night. Best kebabs and all night clubs to the freshman girls and make a demon buzz. But we'll have to move right out, stay in the lane. I won't get to see my baby girl every day, but if you're gonna try, then make it go at life. You need to take the pain and take a sacrifice, and hope you don't just fry your brains again. Just let him bend, not paying bills or rent. Never even seeing the front room floor, cause a big comes fast food trays and more. Feel from the kids singing in the bin. I don't wanna see my bones pop through my skin. Don't wanna fight more than war again. Just really miss how it was back then.
Get on the computer, I need to find the wiring diagram and go through the wiring diagram and figure out what could be causing this short, what's actually connected, what could blow that particular ignition fuse. But everything runs off that same circuit. At the time I didn't have any lights on, and the lights are on a different fuse anyway, but then everything else could be blowing it. Literally everything. The indicators weren't on, brake lights weren't on. I wonder, let's try the brake lights. See if the brake lights are doing it. Brake lights are still working. Let's pull it in and turn the bars. No. I think someone did suggest in comments for the last video that it could be when I pulled the brake on. There's nothing else for it. I'm gonna have to strip the whole of the handlebars and the clocks and the ignition system. I'm gonna have to strip it all down and try and look for a bare wire somewhere.
Last I know was a proper tool with a contract deep in a swimming pool, and he screwed us out. I've got the cash we had and I'm still waiting for that deposit back. But we got wise ends on his shoulders now, and we've lived and learned. Never pants pulled down by landlords and dealers that I get to with these breaking through the.
Well, there's where the wires come out. Obviously they've not seen daylight in quite a while, you can tell by the rust. But you can't see any chafing or anything, but I would think that would be a place for them to chafe if they were going to chafe. All it takes is vibration from bike. I've already undone one of the nuts, and I've got to undo another nut which is just there for the clocks. And I'm going to pull the clocks off and see if I can find the cables for the handlebars, and then I can remove the entire thing away from bike. Couple of flip screws, take the headlight off. Just kidding, I know the JS. This is kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies, because that is all been out before, someone's fiddled with it. We've got screws missing out of the back of the clocks. I'm just going to remove all the clocks and then just go around and test all the wires, strip everything back that I can, get it on the bench. It's the only way I'm going to find this short. There's nothing obvious going to jump out at me, so I'm just going to have to crunch the hours and just do the work, just get it done. Alright, here's the clocks. I've got to get all this shrink off, I've got to get all this old tape off and we'll tidy up this wiring, because I'm pretty sure that's not meant to go like that. That's probably meant to go all through the same shrink, but it has been fooled around with. Seriously fooled around with. Let's get it off. Not sure if this could be the problem, but look at that. See the wiring actually chafed away there. I'm not going to carry on with this on camera. It's too time consuming, so I'm going to try and figure out what the problem is, and then I will get back to you. I'm going to do it all off camera. So I just found a wire. Excuse my mongy thumb. It will have grown out that in about a month, I think. And that's all beside the point. I trapped it in a lock, of all things. A lock that was stuck. Anyway, I digress. So this is the clutch switch wire, which is not original on the bike, I don't think. And I don't know what a clutch switch would be necessary for on this bike. I'd like to just remove it, if I'm honest. Because there's not a starter inhibitor. You don't have to pull the clutch in to start the bike, which is weird. So I'd followed the wires back, and they come down to here, and then they go back into this cable. Now this cable then goes back up into the handlebars, just there, and up into the kill switch. So I'm thinking that that was our problem all along. But I would like to find out if I can get rid of that clutch switch altogether. I don't think that's an original unit. But why you would need a clutch switch on this bike, I don't know, with no inhibitor. If anybody knows the answer to that, leave me a comment. I'm sure there's a few Z650 enthusiasts now who've picked up on this little issue. Oh, by the way, next up is the Katana. Yep, she's rough as old balls, but I love that bike. Absolutely love that bike. We've got the headlight to fix, got the clocks to do, and she doesn't start. She's throwing fuel out. And a bit of oil as well. So we've got a bit of a snagging list. But I'm going to have some fun on that this summer. So let us know if you want to see that. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the content that's coming. So I've looked through all this wiring and everything looks alright, serviceable. There's a few dicky bits on the headlight, which I've got to reassemble. But I've got to cure that little problem. My mum told me off the other week because I don't speak on YouTube as I do in real life. I don't sound my T's. Because I'm from Sheffield, I'm a Sheffield lad. So sorry mum, I'm going to stop doing that. So if you're from down south or you're from another country where you don't know how Sheffield people talk, then this could be me from now on. It's a couple of days later and I seeked a little bit of advice, looked on the internet. What I wanted to know was the clutch switch on this, what it actually was, because it didn't seem to inhibit starting. But I rang my mate Andy. He used to have Somerset Classic Motorcycles before. He ran that as a business, and he's got his own YouTube channel as well. It's called Andy with the Spanners. But he's got a high knowledge of these kind of bikes. And what he told me was, obviously I'm not into my classics, I'm more into the modern stuff. What he said was, it works in conjunction with the neutral switch, and it inhibits the starter if it's in gear. So obviously if it's sat on the stand, you've got the ignition on and some little child walks up and presses a starter button, it'll just rock off the stand, your bike's on floor. But I don't think this bike came with it standard, so this is all aftermarket equipment. Now what I found is, I found a little bit of a break in the wire. And when I say a little bit of a break, yeah, it's massive. Let me get you in. There's the break in the wire if it'll focus in. And I thought to myself, is that going to be relevant to the ignition system? The break in that wire. Now, I thought again, and yeah, of course it is. The other thing is that I think it blew the fuse every time I pulled the clutch in, which is something I didn't realise when I was out at the time. I picked it up off the stand and it cut out. The first time it cut out, I was rolling up to the traffic lights. So I'm thinking it's every time I pull the clutch in, it will blow in fuse. Which would make a lot of sense, because obviously if that's completing a circuit down to earth, which it probably would do, whatever it was sitting on, then yeah, that would blow the main fuse. because the main fuse controls the entire ignition system, which this is designed to cut out. So I'm thinking, repair this wire and my problems will be solved. Wire strippers are a bit prehistoric, but there's a bit of a story behind them. When I was an apprentice truck mechanic years ago, the mechanic who I worked with used to teach me everything he knew. These were his, and he said to me one day, he says, "Have you had my wire strippers?" I said, No. He said, "You have, I saw you went the other day." I went, "No, I haven't had them, mate, I don't know where they are. But they're not in my toolbox, I want them back." So anyway, this went on for weeks and weeks. Where are my crimps? Where are my snippers? I ain't got them, mate. I swear I ain't got them. Anyway, about 6 months went on, and I cleared out the back of my car, and these were there. But you know what you like when you're 16, 17, and I didn't want to admit that I'd got them all the time, and I'd had them all that time. So even though he was still week on week asking me where his crimps were, I didn't say that I'd got them, but I've still got them 30 years later. So Paul Templeman, if you're watching, I'm sorry, mate. I wish I could give him you back, but I was too much of a moron.
He took all his life and he ain't more than poisonous youth and Quaker roads, cause selling a decade, stolen cars and smuggling joy. Criminal record thicker than a yellow patient, that's the pie, Roman chemist every night. Did it for the kicks, not just the money. Joseph Cope for bills and dough. Never in the players, what they use for they.
Last time I did a job like this was on the Katana, and I had someone in the comments who said there was a auto electrician and they were cringing at the job I did. And to be fair, I thought it was quite a decent repair. Obviously, if they are a professional, they know better. But what do you think, guys? Is this an acceptable repair? Or do you have to cut it all out and insert new wires and put Deutsch connectors on? What do you think? Leave me a comment. I'm just putting these back together, offering the handlebars up, and when you drop the handlebars into position like that, if you look where the repair is on the wire that I've just done, it drops right at the side with that little wire clamp. So I'll bet you that is the culprit. That's what's been wearing through. It's taken many years to do it, but I'm pretty sure we've nailed it. Let me know, you Z fans, Z experts, should those bolts have rubber grommets underneath to stop that movement? How much play there is on these clocks. So what I've done, I found a piece of rubber, a rubber grommet, and I'm going to fit these. I don't even know if they're going to fit properly, but I just want to take away that slot. That's a lot better. That one's pretty much perfect. That one's a little bit thick, but still, there's no movement now, and it's all mounted on rubber, so you're not going to get any vibrations through clocks. So I think I'm happy now. just to reassemble everything, get it all together and give it a test. Mark the indicators up, left hand and right hand, just so I'd remember, because I kept putting them on the wrong way around.
I'm rolling stone to the beat of the drum, and I don't know where it's coming from. The man in the studio can't stop the vibe. He's been breaking his back, working in the beehive, and I don't think you're buying what I got.
Right, so fuse box. Fuse box sits that way, and the far right fuse is a 20 amp, and the other two fuses that don't have any at the moment, they have 10 amps. They're for the headlights and tail. Let's drop the two 10 amp ones in. This is tough to do while holding the camera. That's one, and that's two.
Push the speakers high, cause nobody's gonna get to sleep tonight. Time to relax.
When you're tightening up the mirrors, it's the same with the levers. Don't over tighten them. If you over tighten them and then you do have an upsy daisy, they're going to snap off.
So, another little shakedown run. Now let's see if we can get through this one without breaking down. Oh, when visors up, this helmet doesn't know how to squeal with the wind. Horrible wind noise. So, I think we've got it. I hope we have anyway. What I do have to do is drop the idle back down, because I've had it ticking over on the bench. I wanted a high RPM while generator were making the most volts, and fingers crossed we've got it. But I'm not going to venture too far away from base this time, because I don't want to do any more pushing. And the other thing is, I didn't forget my phone this time. That sounds epic. That gave me a little bit of a chubby, I'm not going to lie. They're the rules. When you go under a tunnel, you have to give it some. Alright, let's throw a bit of V-power in it. Oh, here we go again. Lovely, beautiful day. Yeah, RPM's still a little bit high, so I'll stop in a minute and knock that down. It's at 1500 now. I'd like to see it somewhere around about 12, 11. So far, so good. Well, here's the thing with intermittent faults. You never actually really know if you've nailed it or not. And it's like, I mean, I spoke to Rich and told him that ultimately he will be test riding this bike, because if there is an intermittent fault and it doesn't show on this test ride, which it might not do, he might be somewhere miles away from home when it happens. So keep your phone with you, Rich. And fortunately, you know someone who could pop out and come and help you out. I don't. So let's put it all under load. Let's have the lights on low. Just make sure everything works perfectly. Seems to take a long time to warm up. But when it is warm, the spluttering down low disappears. Although that might come back when I lower the RPM, the idle. And before I get the comments, it's correct. I don't have my appropriate gear for going for a ride. But I am a grown man, and I will take my risks, and I will take the consequences should anything happen while I'm out. Before all the gear Nazis start, you should have an appropriate Kevlar, just for the slide, not for the ride. We know the risks.
I went to the doctor, said I'm crazy for your love.
What a beautiful thing to ride. Such a nice comfy position. The clutch is a lot nicer now. I've adjusted it, brought it in a little bit, because it was definitely going to start slipping. Dances from side to side. It's quite effortless and really comfortable. Whoever's built it has done a really good job as well, apart from the wiring obviously, but I can't really say much. My wiring, it leaves a lot to be desired. I'm going to miss having this thing around. I really like it. I'm not going to miss pushing it, but now it's running lovely, and hopefully Rich is going to do many miles on it and have a lot of fun, give him a lot of smiles. How can it not? It's gorgeous. So if anybody has any project, we're starting to run low on projects. There's not much left to do on the Katana. I've got a couple of jobs I want to do on my CBR, because that's only got 4 gears now, but I think I know what the problem is.
and that one's going to be coming up soon. Should be just an easy fix, fingers crossed. But I've said that before. And then we've got another little surprise, which is another bike that we took from Rory's shed that I actually bought off him. I bought it off Rory because I felt really bad. He wanted to sell it, but it was in no kind of condition. It's so terribly rusty that I'm sure nobody would have bought it apart from if it was for scrap value. And I said, look mate, I don't want to insult you by giving you scrap value, so I'll give you this much for it. And he said, yeah, I'm happy with that. So I bought it, and then it's done nothing because I've got no interest in the bike whatsoever. I only did it because I wanted Rory to get something for it rather than nothing, which is what he would have got if I hadn't bought it off him. But I don't know what to do with it. So what I might do is I might get it roadworthy and give it away. And that's all in upcoming content. Also, we've got the other Katana, the donor bike Katana. We've got that one, and that engine is locked absolutely solid on it. So we're going to be getting that unseized. We're not stripping and rebuilding it because that's not how we do things. That would cost an absolute fortune. So we're going to free it up, and as long as it rolls over and the valve train is timed up, we're going to get it running. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with that, but that's just how we do things. So other than that, if anybody else has got any laying in the back of a garage or in the back of a barn somewhere, preferably a barn, because then I can call it a barn find and YouTube picks it up better and puts it out there quicker, we get more views, which is what it's all about. And don't forget, it's not just views. It's alright you viewing it, but we need you to view it all the way to the end, and then at the end of it, leave a comment, tell us if it's rubbish, tell us if the video's good, tell us if the video's terrible, but just leave a comment. It's really important. And on top of that, if you want to see sponsors become interested in us, in our YouTube channel, and possibly sponsor us for an episode or a couple of episodes, leave a subscription, because subscriptions are important to those people. It's like a big willy. You don't actually need it for anything, but it's nice to have it there in case you do. So obviously for me, it's nice to have it there. Well, it says bicycle on taxation class. I identify as a bicycle.
Well, I thought I'd done. I thought that were everything. But this is the camera mount I had mounted on the handlebars. And when I took it off, I accidentally knocked the clutch switch that I'd just finished repairing and smashed it. What a pudding. So I was going to drop it back off with Rich today, but I've had a word with him. And he said, I'd rather have a clutch switch if you don't mind. So, yeah. Brilliant. So we've got the old switch and we've got a new switch, and it works the same way, but it doesn't actually fit as it should. So we're having to take all this shoulder off, grind it right down, and then leave 2 pegs so it'll actually fit into the lever. So once I've filed that down, we should be good to go. So we have a problem. This obviously is the broken clutch switch, and I've got an almost identical clutch switch that I've had to modify a little bit so it fits in, but when I try to start the bike, no matter where I position the lever, it's not inhibiting the starting, so it just will start no matter what. Now the problem I've got is that is not a Z650 original lever. I don't know what it's from, so that means I can't get the actual clutch switch that fits this lever. And the original Z650 clutch lever with the switch on it is almost £100. Now I thought about buying that for a few seconds, and then I had convulsions and my wallet started flapping away, so I decided no, I'm not going to do that. But does anybody know of a replacement that comes with the clutch switch, with everything? I'm going to have to leave this video here. I wanted to give this bike back to Rich today, but for this reason now, it's not going to happen. I've ordered 2 clutch switches now. None of them are actually long enough to reach the back of the lever. So yeah, we've got a bit of a problem. We're not going to pay £100. We want a replacement lever, obviously with the perch for the mirror and the clutch switch. If anybody knows of one, let us know. This is my old van I'm using for storage now. And these are the next couple of projects we've got coming up. This is the Varadero. That was Rory's bike that I bought off him, and if you just look, that has been bitten with a lot of rust bug. It looks absolutely horrendous. The chain's so rusty, it's just like it's been welded in place. It's unbelievable. The bike doesn't push. And this is the donor Katana. Now the engine on this is locked up solid. It will not turn. We've had some WD-40 down it, but we've not really paid that much attention to it. So this is going to be an upcoming project. Let us know which ones you'd like to see done first. Do you want to see this cleaned up and done first and given away, or the old Katana? I think we could get this going. It'll be a laugh. This is the old bike me and Connor built together for his 16th birthday, so he could get him out on the road, get him to college and to work, and he used it for 2 or 3 years. Pretty much got his money out of it. We toured Scotland on it, and then it's fell into disrepair. The piston went on it, it got taken to pieces and never put back together again. So that is going to be an upcoming project. If anybody wants to see that, the old Specialized Custom, we call this the FT. It's made out of a DT50 MX from '93. So, and when we'd done it, I was quite proud of that one. But the front wheel is the wrong size. It wants to be a bigger wheel. I think it's a 17 up front and it wants to be a 19. So we're going to try and get that done and looking better. And my trials bike, now I've been riding that hard and putting away wet, so it's in a bit of a state, but it's nothing I can't sort. It wants new back wheel bearings, it wants the sump plate finally repairing, just a general tickle up. So let us know if you'd like to see that as well.